Well, good morning. I am your host, Wanda L. Scott, and I come to you every Thursday to give you a mindset pivot so we can thrive and not just survive mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Welcome to Thrive Thursdays. Are you ready to thrive? I know that you are. We're all ready to thrive instead of just surviving. This fast paced world, we are constantly in survive mode. There is so much going on, but you can thrive. And we're looking at today all of those people, I'm raising my hand, both hands, who talk about being busy all the time. Do you feel like you're being busy? Raise your hand, hit the like, give me a comment that says, I feel like I'm busy all the time. And we have become so out to this is just normal. We have to be busy all the time. And I want to take a pointer back to my Thrive Thursday around rest. Okay, go back, go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, like, look for the playlist for Thrive Thursday, and watch the one about rest. I think it'll speak to your heart about being busy all the time. But let's get back to it. So, when I say busy, I'm really going to hone in today on the word multitasking. But I don't know, for some of you, you're moving through life and everything is on a time clock. And you start to see people as ones and zeros. For y'all you don't know, that's computer language. Everybody's on the computer in a Zoom meeting, on social media, and you're just constantly misplacing the fact that these are live human beings who need to be doing something other than what you're calling them to do in that moment. And so we go from meeting to meetings. In between meetings, we're on our devices, we're scrolling, and it turns into midnight meetings, working together to get some last minute things done, proposals in, presentations ready. We go from thing to thing, and we just end up doing a million different things at one time. It's always sometimes can be a time for celebration. It's not always a bad thing, but busy all the time turns into just being busy. If you are with me, give me a busy in the comments. So, busy looks like for most of us living in the world of multitasking, right? So, we multitask to get more things done, to seemingly make our life easy. But multitasking is a myth. So, what do I want to do here? I want us to do a pivot. Okay. I want to change how or modify how you think about the things that you do. I want you to, keep your position of getting as much done as you can, but pivot from the thought process, right? So, my pivot for you today is some facts around what multitasking really does. This is a study by McGraw-Hill Education. You can go to their website. I'll post it in the comments after I finish going live. But multitasking causes you to lose focus more easily. McGraw-Hill gave us 7 things that multitasking fights against us. And I'm going to give you 4 things, right? So, first of all, multitasking causes you to lose focus more easily. Why? Because you're jumping from one thing to another. You lose focus, you lose your train of thought, you lose you were really diving in there. You had done some deep thought, critical thinking, you were moving, and then you go to get lost in that. So, multitasking causes you to lose focus more easily. Let me know if that's happened to you in the comments. And then multitasking slows you down. Why? Because of your priority list. If you're working on different things, you never get that one thing done, right? That one thing done. See, I multitask. You never get that one thing done because you're multitasking. You jump from thing to thing and don't concentrate on the one thing, and mark that off your checklist. That's huge for me. I have to mark things off my list to feel productive. All right, so multitasking slows you down. Multitasking leads to mistakes, right? Because you are going from one thing to the other. Hey, Lewis, thanks for jumping in. Yeah, multitasking. Multitasking leads to mistakes, right? So you have to know that when you're focused on one thing, you're doing critical thought, you're in the flow, and you're getting it done. I guess this is probably really prevalent to you, Lewis, is when you're working on numbers, right? You can't lose focus on the numbers. It could really mess you up, and you can make mistakes if you jump to some other thing, or you go to take a phone call and you forget where you were in your numbers process. I'm not a numbers person, but yeah, so I can only imagine. But multitasking causes you to lose focus. When I'm writing or developing a course, if I go to something else, I could lose focus or on how I am what I'm trying to do, right? And if I had a great idea for application for what I'm trying to get the learner to know, and I'm off of that, then I lose focus. And the fourth thing that I'm going to show you is multitasking is bad for your brain, right? Because your brain starts to get used to you jumping from one thing to the other, and it's harder to focus. It's harder to stay on one train of thought, and your brain, you're rewiring your brain to function that way, and you really don't want to do that. And unfortunately, social media moves you towards this multitasking mindset. You go from post to post, looking and thinking about the next thing, and you don't do any critical thought on the one thing that you were doing, or you're distracted from your work, the person in front of you. So multitasking is a myth, and it's something that we need to stop. I see you, Lewis. You can also lose clarity. I like that. You can also lose clarity. You're not as clear on what you were previously thinking about or what you're currently thinking about because you're jumping from one thing to the other. Thank you for that, Lewis. So the idea is that we need to make sure that we understand that multitasking is not your solution to being busy. I'm not talking about maybe your housework or whatever, and you are, sweeping, and then you stop to go answer the phone. I mean, tasks sometimes don't fall into this category, but when it comes to our critical thinking, our job, things that we're building, a project that we're working on, we have to be really careful that in the line of being busy and needing to get things done, that we don't get caught up in this myth of multitasking, and that we really understand that our mindset pivot is around finding other tools like creating your to-do list, prioritizing your list, looking at what's most important, communicating about what's most important. Those are things that help your busyness. And a lot of times mentally and emotionally, we get caught up in busy because we haven't done a pivot to really say, why is this important? When does it really need to get done? And mentally and emotionally, we get caught up in the feeling. We get caught up in, I've talked about this, unrealistic expectations. And so the pivot is to really say, take deep breaths. Is all of this really necessary? Am I really this busy, or do I need to just take a breath, prioritize, and calm down? Spiritually, I've talked about this before, we're called to rest. And so God calls us to rest. That's our time to commune with him and get wisdom for our priorities. So our mindset pivot is really on the slowdown. It sounds counterproductive when you're already busy, but a lot of times that deep breath, that critical thought, that reprioritizing, looking at unrealistic expectations, and seeking the Lord for wisdom is helps us in our busyness to alleviate it, but it also helps us to understand that multitasking is a myth. You're really not accomplishing anything, especially when it comes to critical thinking and things you need to get accomplished. So I'm gone over a little time, but thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed that mindset pivot. Mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, so you can thrive and not just survive. I stream live every Thursday, not at 9 a.m. I'm going to fix this on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So follow, like, and connect with me, Wanda L. Scott, in each of those so you can get the pop-ups. And if you want to go back and see any more of my Thrive Thursdays, because I've had some good topics, go to my YouTube site, subscribe and like, and there's a playlist with all of my Thrive Thursday. So have a wonderful rest of the day. And remember, you can thrive and not just survive mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I'll see you next Thursday.